Hey guys, I'm Ryan.
I'm Will.
I'm Ivan.
And tonight, follow me down into the Valley Light where all the flowers bloom. Tonight we continue our review of Part 2 of the Traitors US S2 series. Welcome to episode 33 of It's Just a Game.
In the valley with the blooming flowers.
The tree and a hanging and a death and a tree.
Hello and welcome to episode 33. I really struggled to say that word. 33 of It's Just a Game, the podcast where we watch reality TV so you don't have to. Each episode, we discuss the best drama, the most questionable strategies, and some of the craziest moves of your favorite reality TV shows. And because we're the only podcast by the people who've been there, done that, and got a t-shirt, we're back to watch some more of The Traitors. We're Series 2 of The Traitors US, now on BBC iPlayer. My name is Ryan, and I do too much because you do too little. Every week, I'm joined by a traitor and faithful. On my right is Ivan, and though he isn't the Bachelor, you do have to kiss his ass for a rose. Hello, Ivan. How are you?
I'm very well. Let me say, I've got a lot of roses right here, and they are all, I'm willing to give them all out. Just get in line. Come on. Someone, please. I've got so many. Oh, there you go. There's one. Finally.
And to my left is the silent slaughterer, the Duchess of Deception, the Mistress of Murder, Wilf. Hello, Wilf. How are you?
I'm all right, babe.
Order.
I can't do it. I'm so excited.
Now, look, we're here to discuss the second part of Series 2 of The Traitors US, and oh boy, did so much happen. Now, as always, we're entering a spoiler zone, so if you haven't seen the entire second series of The Traitors US, go away and come back when you're done. If, like us, you couldn't help binging it, stay right there. And because this is the show where we watch reality TV, so you actually don't have to, though you should. On this series, I know we don't always say it, mind you, but on this series, you should. Some series you shouldn't. You don't need to. You really don't. This one, you should. And that's why Ivan is here to remind you of everything that's gone down in the series so far on his recurring segment that he hopefully has prepared. Ivan, what's been going on, Ivan? What has been going on, Ivan?
Well, thanks, Ryan. Let's go straight to episode 7.
Ivan, if I may interrupt you, what's been going on, Ivan?
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you asked. Thank you so much. Well, listen, they tried to...
Order. Let's just ask first before. What's been going on, Ivan?
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you. They tried to seduce Peter into joining them, and he didn't let them kiss his ass for a rose. He refused. He stayed faithful. In the breakfast, Parvati asks Peter if he's the new traitor. She's pushing too hard. Sandra is making it alliance warfare. It's 6v5 for the leftovers against Peter's pals. The mission is the woods race. Rather than a round table, the players meet in a wood and protect all but 5 from murder. Peter will survive another night. Episode 8. Bergie is out. Peter manipulates Parvati into working together. He's in total control of the game. It's the tunnel escape mission. Parvati uses some waterworks to manipulate John, but it doesn't work. Trishelle lays an open and shut case on Phaedra at the round table. She must be going home. But Peter and Parvati working together is revealed by Phaedra, and it's Parvati who's banished. Phaedra, the last remaining traitor, hands the ultimatum to... Kate. Episode 9, Kate accepts. Phaedra becomes unbelievably and uncomfortably hammy, like Paul levels of believing she's a murderer. It's cringe. Kevin is murdered. MJ immediately notices Kate has changed, but Kate really disapproves of Phaedra's lack of strategy. Peter, Trishelle and John are outnumbered by the Housewives Alliance, and they want to get John. The mission is the stained window trebuchets. Phaedra looks to eliminate Trishelle from a shield, implicating herself. Silly Phaedra. They need to pull out CT, maybe Sandra, onto their side to get Phaedra out. It's really dramatic as Peter and Phaedra are on 4-4 at the end of episode 9. Episode 10, Peter is voted out 5-4. His alliance is broken. He could never have won. The Bravo girls turn to seriously consider Phaedra, led by MJ. It's the Gold Dig Wobbly Bridge mission. Kate gives up on Phaedra at the round table, calls her selfish, and they all vote for Phaedra. After she reveals she was a traitor, Alan doesn't confirm if there are any traitors left or not. Great, Alan, thank you. Final episode, finale, 11. It's Sandra, Trishelle and CT against Kate and MJ as they align their attacks on each other, so Kate looks a little bit stuffed. Kate murders Cherie, who suspected her, but she's still in a minority. There's a mission, didn't watch it. At the round table, CT and Trishelle flip to vote Sandra, and Kate makes it to the final 4. Kate votes to end the game, despite there being a murder since they last caught a traitor. From this point, it's academic. Kate is banished, and the remaining players choose to end the 2 challenge contestants vote to reject MJ, simply to share a bigger pot of the money. MJ is banished, and the two of them win. Trishelle, CT win the money. Duh, duh, duh.
Amazing.
Wow. Now, we'll take this in order, okay? Big up, John. We'll get back to the end game. We'll talk about what I've called, there's a section in mine that I've called the kakistocracy.
The kakistocracy?
The kakistocracy, which basically means the government of idiots.
The kakistocracy.
The kakistocracy.
Okay, yeah.
We'll get back to that. We'll talk about Kate's moves. We'll talk about Fedra going down, Parvati. But let's start with Peter's recruitment. And generally, Peter's mad moves. Saying no to recruitment is very rare. So you refuse a recruitment, you're dangerous, you get murdered the next day. Peter says no. Like, he's really emboldened by the fact that he knows who the traitors are. And that's really rare. I'm thinking, for him, it's a good play. Because the fact is, he knows he is not winning this game. He will not make it to the end no matter what. And so it's a great play because it solidifies himself as faithful and just sort of leads on his own terms. And I rate that. I don't know. I think it's a good play. Ivan?
There's a bigger reason why Peter says no. And it is that he is already going so hard on Parvati and Phaedra that if he's recruited, he has to just carry on going hard on Parvati and Phaedra or be shown up. Now, actually, what's hilarious is he does kind of change his tack because he tries to manipulate Parvati into working with him. And so people then vote him out for that. If he had done that earlier, been recruited and gone, actually, you know what? I think it might be John Burko. Then I think everyone would immediately sniff out that he'd been recruited. So as far as him wanting to stay faithful because that's what he came in to do, I think it was a clever move because the opposite would have been so blindingly obvious.
Wilf, as someone who's been rejected by a potential recruit.
Do you know what? I think faithfuls have realised that if they get recruited and they have an option to turn it down, because obviously sometimes you don't get the option, right?
Yeah.
It's always a really strong faithful who you know they'll be good on your team. They always say no because they know how good they are as a faithful. So as soon as he said no, I respected that because it's so weird. This is the first series I've watched, I think, of the Traitors where I really wanted the faithfuls to win for some, like, because of Peter.
Yeah, me too. So much.
It's good to see that, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I really wanted him to win. And I knew he wouldn't win at that point. As soon as that happened, I was like, he's going to help the faithfuls win, but he won't win. And I think he knew that as well in his heart. He knew that he can't win this game now. He's too much of a threat. And I think it pissed me off, actually, that Parvati, she basically revealed herself to him at the breakfast table. So she kept going to him and like pointing like, where? So there must have been a recruitment. There must be a recruitment, and was like looking at him constantly. It was really, really weird behaviour.
She lost it.
She does say, Peter, didn't they try to recruit you? The only thing, and everyone thought it was her already, but the only thing is that obviously Peter was the person who would be recruited. There was no question he'd be the person who they tried to recruit. So I wonder if it's a little bit of confirmation bias that we already know that Parvati was a traitor. But I hear what you're saying. It was creepy, and like it was, yeah, you definitely see that. If they were seeing like who cheersed with their coffee after their boyfriend died, you definitely noticed that.
To be fair, but I've got to respect, again, Peter's play. I mean, at this stage, he's just one layer away from going, if you're a traitor, you know it, clap your hands, and Parvati just claps.
She started quite strong, and I feel like towards the end, I
think she just got really tired. That's the only explanation, because she's a good player, but she went down like a lead balloon.
You don't think it's that, Wilf?
No, I think John absolutely destroyed her. And his use, like, my wife's obviously an English teacher, right? And like she was talking about like his use of rhetoric and repeating the same thing 3 times in different ways because it's so much more powerful. And it was like, well, at that table, that was the best, most elegant I've ever seen on the table and the thing is, she cried to him and I was thinking, oh, maybe he's not going to go for it. Like,
and he didn't buy it.
He didn't give a fuck. He just went in. And I was like, yes, John. Yeah. I watched it 3 times. I rewound that bit 3 times just to watch it, like the way he did it. It was so... And you know why he's in the position of his life of where he is, because he is extremely educated and he can convince anyone. Like if I was at that table, you're not quite sure if it's Parvati or you're not sure, you definitely would be like, yeah, I'm voting for her because of what he said.
on the same round table that Trishelle took down Phaedra in an equally not equally, but an open and closed case, it was still good enough for Parvati to go down. Yeah.
100%.
So, like, generally, like, I've got to say, John is perhaps the best orator that has ever been at this round table. He just knows how to reel you in. And they even realized that, because at one point they all said, we need to get John on our side. It's John who needs to make that case. If it's not John making that case, we're not going to convince enough people. But if John makes that case, people are going to be on board because people will listen to him. Like, the power of his words.
Private school for you.
Yeah, honestly.
I would have liked to see an argument, a full-on debate with him and Phaedra at the table. That would have been great.
I don't think it would. I don't think Phaedra's got any argumentative ability at all. I mean, she gave up as well, didn't she?
Is she not a solicitor or something, though? A lawyer, no?
She's a lawyer, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily testify to their competence.
Should we just settle?
Most American cases are settled out of court, aren't they? So.
Yeah. Now, the thing with Phaedra is that, like, we saw actually the fact that she's got no ability to argue her case properly. Their only option is to go attack the person, not the message, but the person.
No ability or no motivation? Because I think she can.
I think it's a bit of both. I don't think she can, because when Joy made his beautiful speech about Parvati, she really tried to, but her response was just appalling. It was just really boring. It had no substance.
She was quite weird.
She was just pissed off.
When I think about her again, she was a really weird person. I don't know if they did this all on purpose, but didn't you notice every time someone came in for breakfast, right, it was just her, they cut into her talking about food and shit, like all the time.
Yeah, kept like reaching for eggs and doing weird stuff with her mouth.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like, I want, the cold meats are so great. Like, and it was
hey,
weird.
look, which one of us hasn't been a bit hungry after killing someone? Come on, guys, you know how it is.
I think they were trying to sell the idea that she didn't care and wasn't showing that she cared as being like a cold-blooded killer and like making the viewer go, look, that's a clue. But nevertheless, she did act, like, even when she was sitting on her own, she'd be like, this is delicious. And I think she was quite aware of like her kind of TV persona being slightly affected and odd.
Yeah, 100%.
And what's his name? Like, it was so true. Whenever someone's murdered, she's like, not my burgerlicious and all this sort of stuff. It's like, it was just so overproving, isn't it?
There's such thing as overproving, Ivan. I think Phaedra's downfall came because she just decided that she was a pantomime villain when she recruited Kate. And then she was like, I know, let's kill this person. We should do this. And it's just like...
It was so weird, wasn't it? That dungeon scene was so weird.
I cringed so hard.
Like, what the fuck is crunge?
Past tense of cringe, Wilf. Get a dictionary.
It's cringe.
Don't tell me that's actually in the dictionary.
No, it's not. I know that.
No, it's not.
I cringed so hard. I had to like look away from the screen because it reminded me a bit of Paul. Paul did it better than her, but like the feeling that you so buy into your murderous tendencies that you forget it's a reality TV show where you're making decisions about who to eliminate, and you start to be like, yes, I think I will kill Stephen. I think his time has come. And it's like, no, that's Alan's job.
They don't get taken out the back and shot, right?
She goes, you can join me or I will murder you.
I know, it's
Why are you taking the accent? Why are you even taking the accent?
She said, it was better than keeping you in this dungeon. She said something like that. Like,
I will leave you to rot in this dungeon. It's like, no, you won't, Phaedra. Come on, Fergus will let her out in a minute.
Now, let's take a step back, and before we get back to Phaedra, and before we get to Parvati's downfall, just one more thing about Peter. When Peter brings Parvati and Phaedra into a room and starts saying, let's work together, what was he trying to achieve? That's the one thing I don't get. I do not get what he would get out of it.
That was fucking weird.
They're not going to say, oh, yeah, we're traitors. It's okay. Well, let's work together.
No, but he tried to do that whole... Because that's a good strategy to befriend the traitors, right?
I tried to do that.
Yeah, it's a great strategy, but it was so weirdly awkward. Like... It was because they're too far in the game and he knows they know. It's just weird. It was just so weird. Like, how is he going to, if they said yes, how is he going to put that into play without, it's just weird. What do you think he would have done?
The only thing I can think is that he would have known at this point, no matter who he voted out that night, the other one would recruit. So was he trying to find out a way? And I don't think this is the case, but if I were him at this point, I'd be thinking, I can get one of you. I can get the other one the next night, and the newly recruited traitor is going to slip away. Can I, in some way, control who you recruit.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know. I think maybe the only explanation is he just wanted to get a little bit of a show. He just was enjoying seeing them stressed out and anxious, and just he knew what he was doing to their psyche.
It was flair by that point, I think, with him, wasn't it?
And that was his downfall, though. That little scene and the fact that Phaedra was like, I'm going out of the room. She just left, and it was like, shit, what has he done? As soon as she left the room, I was like, oh my God, what has he just done?
He was already gone. So I didn't feel that. I just felt like he was dead man walking, basically. When
he's like, I'm going to tell Parvati I'm your friend now and I trust you and I'm going to go for Phaedra. Let's go for Phaedra. How quick she turned on Phaedra. Like, yeah, actually, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand that.
She had to.
Yeah, but the way she did it, just like, for him, it was just like, they're both definitely traitors. Like, it just confirmed everything.
She did confirm she was a traitor in that, yeah.
It's where I went off Parvati a little bit around that time as well. She was really attacking Peter, like saying like, oh, he's going on a moral crusade. He's just doing basically what the game is asking him to do. Like, he's just... Yeah. So I think the dynamic between Peter and Parvati was generally really interesting to watch. And again, it's a great thing that they really gave us that in the edit.
I want to zoom out a little bit with this, because Peter undoubtedly was one of the best faithfuls we've ever seen.
Yeah.
But hang on. Say that sentence again, because we've already said he could never have won this show because he played so hard and did so many big things. So, if you, listening at home, think that Peter was one of the greatest faithfuls of all time, what you're also saying is, but good strategy cannot lead to winning the game. And I think it may have guaranteed the faithfuls would win, but it did not guarantee he would win. And I feel like I said this last episode, it's not a team game. So, we look at Peter and we admire what he did. What could he have done different? I feel like these are the episodes, maybe before as well, with the the visibility of his moves. What could he have done differently so that he both did all these big moves and survived to the end?
He was too active.
Nothing. He couldn't survive.
Yeah, he could have. He was way too visibly active. Like, he could have done things a bit more cautious. Like, because he was literally at one point just walking around constantly going, blah, 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 blah.
But if he hadn't been making these moves, then the traitors, would probably have been with a much better chance. So realistically, he stepped between a rock and a hard place. There's nothing he could have done.
Yeah, because that made him last longer, didn't it?
And that's the paradox of this show. Ultimately, as a faithful, there's two sorts of games you can play. You can play the game of wanting to stay a long time. And in that case, being a traitor hunter is not the right thing, because more likely than not, it's not going to help you. You can still play a role in hunting traitors, but you can't be the lead traitor hunter. Same as like CT and Trishelle. They weren't really the lead traitors hunter for a long time.
CT was perfect.
A little bit. Yeah. They were still really good at hunting traitors, but they stayed a little bit further down in the back of the pack. Or you can just be a really bad, well, not really bad faithful, or you can just be faithful that actively doesn't get traitors and win, like we've seen in most of the other series where faithfuls have won.
Someday we will see a faithful who is so good at setting up moves, not taking the credit for them, but benefiting from them. And when we see a faithful who has played amazingly, got traitors out, and won the game, we will know we found the best faithful strategy. That hasn't happened yet. There are winners who deserve to win. There are faithfuls who deserve to win. And there are traitors who play hard and deserve to win, because it's easier to be a traitor and play hard and win.
Exactly what you just said. What he did, his strategy was very good, but he always wanted to be the one to execute. And when he put himself in that role, was his loss, right? Imagine he gave some of that responsibility to Trishelle. If he partnered with her in terms of giving her some of the responsibility to execute this strategy and stuff, it could have been it would have been different. And I think he could have got to the end and won, because
I don't think so.
I think he could have, if he gave that role.
The problem is you can only trust other people so much to own a strategy.
It was really nice to see him doing some of the things that I believed from season 1 would be a really good strategy. And one of them was befriending traitors, though in the end, as you say, Wilf, it was too late to do that. But I think going into a 2-person alliance its power is understated. He had a 5-person alliance, and what it did, it immediately activated the other 6 players against him. If he had one person he trusted, even if he believed they were a traitor, and carried out strategies to make things happen by that little alliance, it would have been a very different series. It's almost too much of a big if to really consider. But it maybe wouldn't have drawn the same amount of attention to him in terms of his efficiency and like effectiveness in carrying out his moves.
Yeah, and he just pissed off the other team, didn't he? Because when you know that scene where
I think the other team pissed themselves off, to be honest.
When you're in the bar, mate, you're in the bar and you're talking strategy, and somebody comes in and he basically tells them to go away. Like, that is just putting a target on him straight away.
Yeah, you just need to stop talking when that happens. You don't want to tell them to piss off. Because you know what it's like to feel jilted. Like, I remember that on the day that I went home from our show. I remember feeling left out of conversations and being like, oh, God.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
Oh, God, it's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you were the same, Ryan. I know you were the same in the day you were eliminated. Like,
yeah.
That's a feeling that makes you act rashly. That's not a great way to control the game.
Yeah, you can really feel when like the walls are closing in.
So he didn't play a good social game, but he played a very, very good strategic game. But all of that has to be said with a massive caveat of he can't be the best traitor in the world if he didn't win the game. He made amazing TV, but he can't be the best faithful. Did I say traitor? I meant faithful.
I just don't think, actually, because the traitors are always going to be alert to it, so I just don't think you're ever going to get faithful who manages to both secretly pull the strings and get traitors out and make it to the final and win.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's actually ever going to happen.
Yeah, I could buy that. Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway, should we talk about somebody else's downfall? I want to chat about Parvati's downfall. We've talked already about how she's kind of lost it in that breakfast room. And like, it was really interesting to see the way she crumbled there, because you can tell in the past she's kind of always had this trouble with people, always managed to reel people in. And what she's managed to achieve in the past just didn't work here. Could she have done anything else, really?
I think I actually didn't mind her strategy at times where her excuse was for being up with her back against the wall, and this is how I react to things in life. Like, that's how I've been. I thought that was quite a good argument, because she managed to sway a few people, and I think trying to sway John was just a really bad decision, because you can't pull a wool over his eyes. Like, his job is literally to out politicians constantly when they're arguing. So I just think that was her major mistake. And if she left it out, she still would have gone. I think at that time, her days were numbered anyway. There was no way she was getting to a final at all.
Yeah. Ivan?
I think she played really well.
She did.
I think she did the best. I think she did the best with the time. So when she went instead of Phaedra, I was really sad about that. And I think you're right that telling John was the thing that made him campaign against her. She had to play the numbers game, maybe. I just don't know. She was never going to win the show from maybe episode 5.
She didn't have a way out.
Peter's Trap just had her done. The fact that she survived for like 4 episodes after that is already a really impressive thing.
100%.
That's like literally that's her MO. It's just survive for longer than you think she should.
Yeah, and my opinion switched on her. So I didn't like her at one point. I think it was like between episode 7, 8, around that.
I agree. When she got really tired and sort of called on defensive.
And then Phaedra turned into like this. I switched on her. So I really liked Phaedra at the beginning, and then slowly started to think, actually, I like Parvati a lot more actually than Phaedra.
I actually agree. I was going to come into the first episode initially saying my favourite player was Phaedra. Yeah. And then, boy, did that change.
Oh, the way Phaedra acted, it was kind of smug. It just never appealed to me. It reminded me of those Housewives shows that I just can't stand. I'm sure she's lovely, but she's got a persona. She lives up to her persona, and people want to see that, and I am not one of those people.
She has to, and it appeals to a segment of the audience, but that's not my segment.
Absolutely not.
Now, look, we've talked about the good players. We've talked about Peter. We've talked about the Parvati. So, yeah, we've talked about the good players. Now let's talk about Kate.
I'm voting for you, Kate.
Look, the problem with Kate is that I already didn't think she was a particularly good player as a faithful.
No, she's not a good player.
She wanted to end the game.
In that, like, she kept actually making the faithful worth off. She was actually helping the traitors in the way she voted. But then she gets recruited. And it turns out that she's an appalling actress. She starts trying to act at breakfast, and she's basically Kieran in the last episode of The Traitors.
MJ calls it within seconds. Are you all right, Kate? Are you a traitor or something? She's like, no.
Oh, really bad. Then she goes on to insist on protecting Phaedra, knowing even when the writing's on the wall, she still protects Phaedra, which obviously gives everyone a huge hint. And then at the end, she makes a last-ditch attempt to save herself by causing chaos, by just lying to everyone, saying, oh, that person told me this, and saying the other person, oh, no, that person actually told me that, which inevitably doesn't work once you get to the round table, because people connect the dots, are like, oh, wait, you lied to one of us. Like, all of the gameplay, perhaps her worst failure, the one that really, like, just doesn't make sense is the end game.
Yeah, right. I was going to say you can't miss that one off because that one is absolutely.
Should we end the game? But someone's been murdered.
I actually really truly believe there's no traitor here. There can't be.
Somebody's been murdered. They actually haven't. Like, she comes in so cocky as well. She's like, "Oh, I could convince them Alan's the traitor." Well, probably she probably should have done that, because otherwise, how do you explain that somebody gets murdered but you haven't found the remaining traitor?
Well, Alan. Clearly, it's Alan.
Yeah, it's Alan Sugar actually in this one.
Yeah.
It was potentially some of the worst traitor gameplay I've ever seen.
Best TV though.
For somebody who wanted to be a traitor. It was great TV, but she played about as well as Ross did when he became a traitor. Except Ross didn't want to be a traitor. She did.
No, Andrew was like that too. It was like, yeah.
By recruiting her was a poor idea. Phaedra, again, bad choice. What we liked her for in season 1 was not her strategy. It was the fact she didn't care. She actively wanted to leave. They kept her in because it was funny. And she just was constantly trolling, ruining challenges, being a problem, arguing for the sake of argument.
The barrels.
Yeah. She was an excellent agent of chaos because she didn't care. Make her care, and that's a problem. To carry this show into the end game with Phaedra, who gave up, and then just her in the finale, it felt so overpowered. It was ridiculous. I mean, she was already in a minority because it was her and MJ against Sandra, Trishelle, and CT. She got rid of housewives Sheree, who also thought it was her. So she did. That was probably a good kill, but like it was never going to happen. And yet yeah.
In fact, she could have convinced Sheree very easily that the traitor was actually Alan. I think Sheree would have bought it.
Sheree would have bought it, yeah.
She had this mad B-reel entering the game. Like, they're like, she's going to come and tear up the game. And then she was actually the opposite this time. It was like, it's so weird.
This is often the way with returning people anyway. Like, every single one of these people was famous for something already. And you often find when you bring back, think about people like Sandra, Parvati, anyone else, they've done so well in their series that you think they are like this all the time. And actually,
they get lucky.
They are not. It just was, you got them at the right week. They did one thing that everyone remembers. People are not, this happens all the time with reality TV. Someone's hilarious during the show, they become a celebrity and they're boring as hell. And it's like, this, unfortunately, is the reality that nobody is that cool, that funny, that amazing all the time.
I really liked Kate, and I think it was just fun to watch.
TV.
She's just fun to watch, especially like when she wants to end the game, bro. Like, anyone with a brain would just be like, imagine someone was like, yeah, actually, yeah.
Like, even MJ didn't want to end the game. Like, MJ, who, let's be honest, wasn't the brightest player in there. Like, MJ was the CS Quentin. And even then, she was like, no, we can't end the game. Like, come on.
Oh,
that was suicide.
But no, sensational TV. I mean, I almost want them to invite, actually, I do not want them to invite her back, but I almost do, just because if she's going to mess it up this badly, like, please, that is entertaining.
It was fun.
So I'll tell you who's on next series that's really exciting is Rob Mariano, Boston Rob.
I've heard of him,
He is the best Survivor player ever. He is unbelievably brilliant because he is so amazingly manipulative. He has the incredible social power. He's also incredibly rude and cruel when he wants to be. And he can manipulate anyone to do anything he wants to do. And he's the kind of person who they bring back, he's just as good the next time. So they bring him back again, and he's just as good the next time.
I reckon he gets murdered episode 2. Because everyone knows he's so incredibly dangerous, not a single person is going to want to keep him on.
He is a massive target. The reason why he survives so well in shows like Survivor is because you can't be taken out by one person. You can have to be taken out by a majority of your tribe, which is his perfect scenario. If he's not a traitor, he will be killed really quickly, but I can't wait to see it because he is so good. Having said that, he's about 20 years older than all the series I've seen of him, so I think he's a bit different from how I recognise him, but I can tell he's going to make a good couple of episodes at least.
Can we talk about the end then? Like the end?
Before we get to the end, I just want to chat about one quick bit, which sort of ties into the end. It's what I've called the kakistocracy. A difficult word to say. The government of idiots, because this is what it felt like in the last few episodes, and it was actually kind of frustrating to watch. The housewives always had a majority, which wasn't wavering very much, and it led to some results where it's obvious to everyone who the traitors are, but the housewives like, nah, there's no way be my girl Phaedra. Yes, it is. Like, why? Like, oh my god, MJ fucking it up repeatedly for everyone else. Like, or Sheree, he was basically this year's Quentin. Like, you could, Like, you barely saw her, but when you did, oh my God. Like, all of that was so frustrating. But you know what was most frustrating? Why does MJ keep writing on these, like, chalkboards in the smallest letters possible? I don't know, it was just very frustrating watching the end and, like, watching, like, you know, the way they wanted to vote out John just because, like, Fedra and Kate both wanted to vote out John just because he dared to make an articulated argument. Like, it was so frustrating.
The strong thing, a really interesting thing is bringing people back that hate each other on other shows or they know each other. That's one of the dangers of it though, isn't it? It's becoming this, they're already creating an alliance and they just keep with each other and they don't vote again. And it does become annoying because there's no strategy behind it because they're not.
There could be, though.
Yeah, there could be.
Let's say that one of these housewives knows it's Phaedra, because I feel like some of them did. And they go, cool, we've got a majority. Let's string Phaedra along so we get to the final 5, vote her out and win the game. Now, that is great strategy.
Yeah.
And, of course, we all want that. We all want to ride in the pocket of a traitor to the end. They were doing that unwittingly. It's
that's
good strategy if you do it intentionally. It's idiocracy if you do it accidentally. And I think we need to just be really careful here that we are absolutely sure that none of them had that idea, because, if any of them even thought for a second it was Phaedra, then they were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I guess so. But look, we've talked about all the players. There's 3 players left I want to talk about. It's all about the end game. I'm going to ignore the part where Kate goes in the end game. As we know, she messed it up badly. She was going to go. Now the end game between MJ, CT, I like, they've all got letters between MJ, CT, and T.
TRICA.
Yeah, I guess everyone's got letters as their name when you think about it. But anyway, between MJ, CT, and Trishelle, that endgame was sensational. The way Trishelle panicked and called for a new vote. And then Trishelle sort of changes her mind. Well, she knows she doesn't really have a choice but to change her mind, because if they go to deadlock for the second time, then whoever's eliminated is picked at random by drawing from a chest. So they do want to be in that position. I mean, all of that is insane. But the main question here I have is that endgame. Do we think it was cruel for MJ or fair enough in light of her contribution to the Faithfuls game?
My opinion is, if you have, like you said, if you have the slightest little inkling it could be that person, and you know there's one person that putting your full trust in, I'd rather go with just that one person than the other person that you don't have that 100%, even though you don't fully trust anybody, but you'd go with that one person. And that's another thing that when we talk about people knowing each other, that became a thing of that as well. Oh, we know each other. Let's just go with each other. It was weird. It was just a weird anticlimactic, weird ending for me.
I loved it. I found it really climactic, to be honest. Ivan.
It was exciting. In a way.
Yeah, it was exciting, yeah.
With what CT said, it was more like, I just don't want you to have this money. I just want to share it with my mate here.
That's what I did like in my head.
That was amazing to watch, for sure.
Yeah.
I can't say I didn't like it, because at the end of the day, like, I'm thinking about contributions to the Game of the Faithfuls, and 2 people around that fight deserve that money, and MJ was not one of them. Like, considering how she was a huge part of the Faithfuls and the Bravo Alliance being reasonably bad at this game, like, for me, she had no sort of entitlement to that money because of that. And so, while it is a little bit cruel, I actually kind of think it's fair enough. Like, that's...
Yeah, but that's a good strategy. We've talked about that being a strategy. Like, realistically, we've seen people that have won the Traitors in the past that haven't contributed at all, but that's been why they've got there. Does that make sense? So
yeah,
it's not a game that rewards bold or daring play.
Yeah, I guess so. But when you got 3 people left who are all faithful and you're only going to reward 2 of them, then you might as well take out the person who actually didn't contribute when 2 of them really heavily did. Yeah. So I think that's fair enough. I mean, having watched Reunion, it's very clear MJ hasn't forgiven them and probably writes their name in blood regularly. MJ is angry, as is Phaedra. Phaedra is very angry as well. What's
Phaedra angry about?
She does have the right to be angry.
She called Dan like a son of a bitch.
Oh, what, for trying to sell her out?
Okay, I agree with that. Don't sell out the other traitors.
No, it's part of the game. What are you?
No, it's not.
Yeah, Will.
Wilfred, what are you talking about?
No, Wilf is the horse that ran out the stable door and then bolted it after him, so no one else could do it.
No, in fairness, I'm not aware of Fedra ever going to church and slipping out.
She called him a son of a bitch, right, for writing a name on the board. Imagine she got parting gifted. What would she have done then?
I'm pretty sure this would have ended like this would be in the papers right now. Would be just we couldn't talk about it because there'd be a trial pending.
Yeah.
What's really interesting though is there have been a lot of endgames now and a lot of bad blood after all of them. Like both US seasons and other seasons I can think of as well. These people have not been able to patch up those wounds. It is a painful and cruel endgame that really hurts people permanently.
I was the only one, I think, that didn't really mind. I think I was the only one who didn't kick off.
Yeah, but there was pain from your season, Wilf, just maybe not the end game, but like it's towards the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I think it's generally an American thing. Like they feel like they've been cheated out the game when you look at the way people interact after the end game in the US series. Whereas in the UK, everyone's still really friendly. It might just be a cultural thing. I think we just appreciate it's just a game, and perhaps that doesn't translate as well to American players.
I want to talk about one more person who flew under the radar that we haven't really spoken about, and that is the reappearance of Fergus. I was pleasantly surprised Fergus was back, and I really liked him. I thought he was cool. Didn't he have a dog as well? I think he had a dog this time.
Kate recognised him.
That's Alan's dog.
It's Alan's dog. That was my first note on anything I wrote was like, holy shit, there's a dog. Forget Fergus. We have a dog now. But I'm really glad Fergus was there, even if just to get like shouted at by Kate in a dungeon and then occasionally like move catapults around.
And I'm pretty sure, when he was like shaking the lock and it was like making all this sound, I was like, this has definitely been added in this sound.
Did you find, speaking of the whole, the cast and crew, did you find Alan more tolerable this series than last series?
I liked him towards the end. Like I didn't like him in season 1.
Yes, I really liked him in this.
He does this kind of sotto voce thing where he just kind of very quietly says things sometimes, which I find quite powerful. And then he didn't say dual ears quite so badly as he did last time. He's still incredibly affected, but it almost felt less cartoonish. Despite the outfits,
I was going to say he dressed up like he had hair like Tintin in one of them.
The outfits were incredible. The outfits were amazing, and they were.
I loved it.
But I mean, I'm talking about the sort of almost pantomime-like caricature he played in season 1, and it was still there this series, but it felt a bit more grown up, like a tiny bit more grown up, and I didn't end up disliking him in this one. Whereas I think in the first season, I actually found him quite hard to watch.
Yeah. Anyway. That's our review of Series 2 of the Traitors US.
Our review?
That's a review, Kate, of the Traitors US.
I'm reviewing for you, Kate.
I think this was a sensational series. I enjoyed it a lot, and perhaps even more than the first US Traitors.
100%.
It was great. And perhaps more than the UK Series 2 as well.
Really?
Well, because again, there was a lot more range and sort of like
the
gameplay
was so much better.
Saying.
Yeah.
The gameplay was great. I enjoyed the cast from the UK obviously a lot more, but I think that's just down to cultural preferences. But no, it was a good review, honestly. Anything you want to add?
Where does it rank in your favourite? We should do it like a top 5. Thing is, I know we haven't all seen all of the series, and there's too many to watch now because there's even like not just a Canada one, but a Quebec one and everything else. But like, if you were to make a top 5 Traitors seasons, A, does this get into it? And B, how high?
I can tell you my 5. So I'm going to go for Traitors UK season 1 as number 1. Number 2, I would throw Australian season 1, and then I would go US season 2. And then I'd go Australian 2, and then I'd go. My 5th one would be US 1.
I don't know. I have to go in. I love making lists, and I want to make a think of it. I don't think this was in my top 3, but this could be 4th or 5th. Yeah,
it is for me. I'm going to be very honest. UK Series 1 is top 1, and that's despite my experience of it. It was generally just like good, fresh, raw TV, which I loved.
It has the advantage of how relevant it is for us as well. Like, of course, we're always going to put it high because it means so much to us.
No, objectively, objectively,
be objective about it, Ryan. Come on,
I cannot be, but
big objective about it.
Sorry. Who are you to judge me, Your Honour?
I'm actually the judge, it seems.
Order! Order!
I sentence you, Kate.
I think somebody should have just come in at the end of the end game and just gone, I'm voting for you, Kate. Obviously.
Just flagging back in just for that. But no, I'm going to get UK Series 1 first, US Series 2 second, Australian Series 2 third, UK Series 2 fourth, and then US Series 1 fifth.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, nice.
Surely based on vibes. Anyway, that's our review of the Traitors US. We'll be back very soon. The Mall is coming out very soon on Netflix, and I feel like we'll be talking about that.
Absolutely, yes, please. The first US Mole series was disappointing, but it was okay. I can't wait to watch this, but I really hope it's better than the first one.
I've got good hopes. There's a new host, and more importantly, they've been in the edit for this for about 18 months, so it should be quite good. But we'll be back very soon.
In the next few months, we should have Genius Game as well on ITV, and a few other things as well. So it's going to be, there's a lot of good stuff coming up.
There's a lot more of It's Just a Game on their way. Yeah. Now, if you like the show, give us a 5-star review, give us a like, follow us to the Turret, or call us for the Traitors All Stars. My name is Rayan. You can follow me at Vote John Burko for the constituency of Inverness, Kai, and West Rochester.
My name's Will. You can vote for me.
My name's Ivan, and you should vote for Will.
And as a reminder, Will is running under the Conservative banner
No,
for
I'm not.
Enfield.
No, I'm not.
No, come on, no.
Bro, ever.
Reform, thank you very much. Reform,
I
come
don't even
on.
know who I like at the moment, to be fair. Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, Jeremy Corbyn.
And on that note, see you very soon, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.